I'm Ashton Addison from BlockWest Capital for InvestmentPitch Media and the Crypto Coin Show. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Will Harborne, the CEO of DeversiFi. Will, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on today.
Thanks very much. Excited to be on.
Very excited to dive into the world of DeFi with you. DeversiFi is working on some good solutions, which I think will help bring more people into DeFi and at least wrap their heads around it. I would love for you to kick it off for us with a high-level overview and the focus of the platform, and then we can dive into the details.
So DeversiFi's goal is to make DeFi accessible to everyone. And that may sound crazy because the whole point of DeFi is supposed to be that it's open for everyone already. You have these decentralized protocols that anyone can access on Ethereum or other blockchains. But the real problem is that actually there's a big technical barrier to getting involved, and there's a high cost barrier. So if you want to use DeFi protocols on Ethereum today, often gas prices mean that it might be $50, $60 to make a transaction. And that's not acceptable if we want to scale this to everyone in the world. And so as DeFi becomes more mainstream, we've built DeversiFi for that purpose. In particular, what you can do is trade, swap your tokens, borrow and lend, and send them to other people without paying gas fees. And we've done that by using a layer 2 solution on Ethereum. So you get the same security that you'd get from using any other decentralized protocol, but without the cost, without the friction. We've built a really amazing slick UI that helps you do that. And now we're starting to make it more and more accessible. As our user numbers grown, we found that they need mobile wallet, other ways of onboarding, and we're really scaling DeversiFi for the kind of next wave of crypto users.
Definitely, great introduction. And yeah, I heard of the announcement on the Layer 2 solution. We'll dive into that in a short while here. I want to talk a little bit more about when you started the platform, the solutions you're looking to drive. Obviously, as you mentioned, DeFi should be accessible by everybody. You know, there should be no restrictions, whether you have a bank account or you have a specific credit score. In what ways were you looking to bring that accessibility to allow more people to get on, whether it was those limitations or just the technical knowledge? And how did you bring those solutions into the platform itself?
Yeah, it's really on two things that we see. One is that we actually needed fundamentally a way of scaling decentralized finance. And by scaling, I mean allowing more people to use it at a lower cost. And that cost had to really be, I think, competitive with the centralized exchanges that people are using today. So even a dollar or two per transaction is too much compared to being able to trade for free on Binance or other solutions. And so we started off looking at what was out there, and this was now 2 years ago. So people weren't really talking about layer 2 in Ethereum at that point. There were some people working on things like Plasma, which is kind of the precursor of optimistic rollup, and talking about zero knowledge proofs. But the idea of rollups and layer 2 wasn't really in the kind of common discussion. And so that was like one side of our solution. And the other side was that we get very much like a fragmented experience of using DeFi still today, which is that if you want to trade, you probably go to Uniswap or something else. If you want to borrow and lend, you might go to the Aave website. And you have to hop amongst these protocols, and it's becoming even more complex now that we have different side chains, layer 2 solutions, different blockchains where you might be able to do DeFi. And so it was trying to unify the experience and allow you to do all of that in one place without needing to hop around. And that really makes, again, it more accessible for the average person who's used to being able to do that and doesn't want to necessarily explore and understand the different user experiences and bugs of different DeFi protocols.
Definitely will. And maybe you can talk a little bit more about the products itself. For those people that, as you mentioned, you're trying to get more accessibility into DeFi. Say someone hasn't really been into DeFi before. What are some of the basic products that they could start using through DeversiFi?
So the simplest thing is if you're an investor who's looking to have exposure to crypto long term, you can move funds onto DeversiFi and use that to buy a whole range of like the top crypto, so Ethereum, Bitcoin, a whole bunch of DeFi protocols. And rather than just leaving it sitting there, you can also then earn yield on those. So you can then start to earn some interest basically on your tokens over the next few months. And when you're ready, when you want to, you can be ready to trade. And you can also send your tokens, again, without paying any fee for doing that. So it really makes it very easy to manage your portfolio in a very sort of unified way, without even needing to worry about the complexities of the blockchain, but still inheriting the security of it. For example, we never hold anyone's funds. We can't send those funds to anyone else. We have no control over those assets except something that you specifically authorize. And so you can have the full sort of knowledge that even, for example, if DeversiFi, as in our company that we operate that built this protocol, went extinct tomorrow, you can still get your assets back, and you can get them back very quickly and easily. So it really kind of is the best of what people might be used to from centralized exchanges, or even the kind of best challenger banks today in the traditional financial world, with the security of DeFi. And I think 3 years from now, what we're hoping is that we'll be able to really take those same tools and apply them potentially also to central bank digital currencies, so digital euro, digital dollar, and others as those come out. And so that's kind of the future we're building for.
Very cool. And you mentioned there being able to buy those assets, but also stake them. And in the decentralized finance world, there's also liquidity mining and AMMs. Can you talk about that part? Is that involved in DeversiFi as well? And can the users explore that?
Yeah, so one of the things that we found when we first launched DeversiFi on this layer 2 solution just over a year ago was that to start with, we had a good number of new users who were trying it out, but liquidity was, and is always in a lot of these things, the kind of challenge. And so we solved that in a few different ways over the last year. But what we found was that we got really strong liquidity for the biggest cryptocurrencies, Ethereum, Bitcoin. If you want to do those, you can get pretty much the best price anywhere via DeversiFi, or as good as all of the top exchanges. But if you wanted to trade something less well known, it's much harder, and probably you're not going to get the best price on DeversiFi today. So we spent most of the last 6 months working on a new solution for that, which is automated market maker pools, very similar to some of the others that you see in DeFi today, but then combining them with our other sources of liquidity, including order books, so that you get a really flexible way for liquidity providers to provide capital. And we will be launching in the next few weeks a liquidity mining program, essentially to incentivize anyone, whether you're technical or not, to be able to put their assets, stake them into these liquidity mining programs, providing liquidity on many markets for other tokens, and earning our new governance token, DVF. So that's kind of a new thing. We actually, probably 2 years ago when we were starting off this project, didn't think that we would launch a token. And that kind of came about in that we saw such enormous sort of takeoff in January or February of this year with new users who are starting to use this, that we kind of realized actually there was an opportunity to really hand over the protocol to a community. And so this token has come about. And I think it's, once this liquidity mining program starts, it's going to have a really big impact on improving the experience for users, but also meaning that anyone can earn these tokens by being a user.
That's great to know. And you mentioned earlier the layer 2 solutions you're looking at implementing. It looks like you've integrated the Polygon Bridge, which I think is one of the best solutions for lowering cost. Can you talk about that integration and how the team has done, and now that it's in there, and what are the next steps?
Yeah, so that's actually a newer integration. Like our core platform is built on Starkware technology, which essentially is a zero knowledge proof based technology. So when we have transactions, we could have, let's say, 5,000 transactions in a few hours. We create this zero knowledge proof, just cryptographic proof, and that creates quite a small amount of data, which we then put on chain and is verified by a smart contract. So that's really what underpins most of our platform. But the kind of Polygon Bridge you mentioned is a newer integration. So really, actually, we see that DeFi is going to be a sort of multi-chain, multi-layer 2 solution future. And so we didn't want to be limited only to one particular area, because there's lots of interesting stuff happening on Polygon and others. And so what we announced this week which was really exciting. It kind of pretty much an industry first in terms of connecting together two layer 2 solutions, was a bridge between the two, which means that if you have funds already on Polygon, which a lot of people do, this has been such a huge takeoff in really the first half of this year. It's been kind of phenomenal to see, because I think a lot of new people have tried DeFi because of that. You can instantly move them to DeversiFi and start using DeFi on DeversiFi as well. And when you're done, you can move back to Polygon and vice versa instantly. So it's a really exciting integration from that perspective, because we're really joining together two DeFi ecosystems, and meaning that the opportunity cost to move between them is almost zero, compared to if you want to move from Ethereum to DeversiFi or Ethereum to Polygon. Actually, it's much slower, and there's usually a cost involved because you have to pay for Ethereum transactions. So I think this is kind of the future that we're now really excited about, is that maybe even a year from now, people will be moving between a lot of these like lower cost DeFi ecosystems without ever really needing to go via the main chain, but still getting the benefit of security from it.
Definitely. Yeah, that's great to know that it's interesting to hear DeversiFi is using this Starkware, and that you're also obviously focused on low cost from the beginning. That's going to make a huge difference when people are getting yields. And it's like the traditional banking system. It's like, here's your yield, but then there's all these costs as well. And if you can avoid those, then overall you're going to be higher up in the returns. And you mentioned there that the users could, when they're earning, they also can earn with the DVF token. I want to talk a little bit more about that DeversiFi token as well. Can you talk about any of the other use cases, or how it's completely used within the ecosystem, and does it benefit the users of the ecosystem to be utilizing it?
Yeah, so DVF is very new. So we kind of did the very early stage of the launch about maybe a month ago, and it's still rolling out. So this week we'll be launching the kind of governance component, which is really the core of the token. And fundamentally, DVF is a token for governing the DeversiFi protocol, which is this layer 2 protocol for DeFi that we originally built and are now handing over to the community. And what the token allows users to do is, first of all, to spend a very big treasury of DVF tokens. So 50% of the supply is really controlled by existing token holders. Most of it is planned, hopefully, to be rolled out for this liquidity mining, and so will be earned by future users and community. But that could change if token holders wanted to change. And fundamentally, the way that DeversiFi works is that all of the transactions that are going through the system pay fees. And currently, 100% of those fees are set to go to the operator, which is kind of one of the entities involved in running the layer 2 system. And actually, that's like our company, DeversiFi Labs. But there's an ability to change that, and it's expected that part of those fees will be redirected to go to the governance module. And so in the future, as DeversiFi grows, the value of fees going to that governance module will grow, and that will create a really healthy ecosystem and incentivize people to participate in governance and to really steer the protocol to grow and to focus on user adoption. In addition, there are several other sort of pieces where we expect DVF to be used, but really that's the core of it.
Definitely. And you mentioned a couple different updates that you're looking at rolling out into the platform. Maybe you can talk about, from now until the end of this year, what are the most important things that you and your team are looking to roll out and bring updates into DeversiFi?
Yeah, so there's going to be one stream for the next few months, which is really about the rest of the rollout of the token, building the community, building the governance system and staking. The second stream, which is also going to be launching at pretty much the same time, is for automated market maker pools. So anyone can provide liquidity and earn from liquidity mining. And then the third is all around accessibility. But one of the biggest things there is launching our mobile version of DeversiFi. So today it's desktop only. And of course, most people want to be able to manage their funds when they want to move on their mobile. And so we'll be basically launching our version for that, which has taken a lot of work. We wanted to make it more than just sort of shrinking things and sort of fitting them into a smaller screen, but really making it native to a kind of native mobile experience. So those are our three biggest things. There's a lot of others, including other bridges to other layer 2 solutions. Again, helping to make it more accessible. Fiat on-ramp to allow people to deposit directly with pounds and euros. And you can kind of see the theme here. It's all about helping more people to get on at a very, and to access the ecosystem. And then we've also got some kind of wilder projects in the mix, which kind of longer term, but sort of more fundamentally building new building blocks for and kind of making use of the tools that we've already built. So one of them, which actually two of them, which we're really excited about, and it is first of all the Diversify launch market. So this is something that we trialed with the DVF token itself. So when we launched it, we made a small part of the supply available that people could buy, and it used a kind of innovative mechanism to try and get a fair distribution. And we saw, therefore, a lot of people managed to participate and get these tokens at that stage. And we're going to open that up so that anyone can use it to launch their token, similar to a Balancer launch pool, if you've maybe ever tried that process, but without the kind of cost of participating because there's no transaction fees. And the second is an airdrop mechanism, so that if you want to run an airdrop, you can come onto the Diversify UI, put your tokens in and choose addresses that you'd like to send them to, and then send those out without needing to pay gas cost. So these are things that we've already sort of used, and actually Lido token ran the first airdrop last week. So really exciting, but yeah, a lot going on, and really the aim is to make it so that all the tools are available for anyone to build their own sort of DeFi within Diversify.
Wow, definitely a lot of different updates. Will, it's very exciting. All the best to your team on rolling those out. For the viewers that are looking to utilize Diversify right now, plus follow along with all these updates when your team does roll them out, what's the best way for them to get involved in the community?
I think the best thing is to first of all join our newsletter, and you can sign up on the main Diversify website, and then also to join our Discord if you really want to get involved and understand more about the roadmap, join the community and start to participate. There's going to be a lot of different bounties and sort of ways for community members to get involved, especially with the rest of the token launch. And so if you're looking to work or get involved, please do get in contact with us.
Sounds great, Will. All the best with all of that. With Diversify, I will be watching as you roll out those updates and utilizing the platform as well. And let's follow up in the near future.
Awesome. Thank you very much.